Okay, hello. I guess I'm live by now. Well, let's take a look there. Oh yeah, it looks like it says I'm live. So today's Terry's Tech Show is going to cover OBS once again, but I wanted to start out with covering optimizations that you can do for your computer that make it so that you have a better program. So for starters, I'm going to add a temporary monitor capture that we can use in order to kind of see the whole screen, because normal window captures in OBS don't capture the tray, the taskbar at the bottom. And I want to show you some stuff on the taskbar. So I'm going to go here and get the full browser window. And I've got, see, I'm just showing you the OBS software now. And I'm going to right click and hit add and go to monitor capture and throw in a monitor 1. Let's see if you can see that. And so I got monitor 1, capture mouse cursor, etc. And so now let's make that be the primary. Yes, there we go. And I should be able to see, yes, there it is. There's the taskbar. Okay. So what I want you to see is that I'm going to turn off unnecessary things that are in my tray, as they call it, down here. Okay, that's one of the first lines of defense. So of course you want to uninstall any unnecessary programs too. And if you don't know how to uninstall programs, some people don't, you go to your start button, or in Windows 8 you go to add remove programs or something. I don't know. It's got me puzzled still. But here you go down here to programs and features and bring that up. And you usually double click on on something to get rid of it, or you can right click and say uninstall change. Okay. So so get rid of anything that's unnecessary first. That's your first line of defense, because there's lots of programs that do constant testing of the internet, and if they're checking the internet, or if they're reading or writing to your disk, well, they interrupt things, and they're taking processor time, CPU time, as well as memory space, to suddenly interrupt everything else and say, "Oh, I'm pushing to the front here. I'm taking charge. I'm the first one here. I'm gonna do my thing," without even asking. So you got to get rid of as many of these things that are pushy and try to take over your CPU as possible. Okay, so usually there's several of these types of things live in your tray. So just start right clicking and clicking on close. Here I'm going to turn off my HP digital monitor, and let's see, I might use Sizer later. This is my webcam. This is stuff I need. This I don't need. I don't need to see the NVIDIA. Okay, so I got stuff that I know is interruptive out of the way right away. Okay, the next big step is to start your task manager here. Okay, and bring that up, and you want to definitely look at this not just in the normal view, but you want to hit this show processes from all users. And this is now going to show you everything that's going on your computer, okay, that's running in the background that you may or may not need. So I'm going to start turning things off. I usually end process tree, or you can just end process. End process tree gets rid of anything that's involved in the process. I don't need this at the moment. Now when you restart, all of this starts up again. This is all the stuff that's running in the background that just starts by themselves. See, I don't need my Java update scheduler to be running. I'll just end that process. I don't need my printer stuff to be running. It's my HP sys drive. Let's see what else I don't need. I do need my LWS, because that's my Logitech camera. I don't need this. It goes with my with some of the Lexus, oh, I don't know, some brand of thumb drive. Let's see, Bonjour, I don't need. Get rid of that. That's polling your network all the time. That's what its job is to do. Bunch of NVIDIA stuff. I don't think I need the experience backend. That's probably what's communicating. I don't think I need the network service from NVIDIA. That's communicating on my network. So, let's see. Do I still have, is my OBS still working? Yeah, see? Everything's still working. Of course, don't close open broadcast software. There's other things I can close. Here's another one, user experience driver component, etc. But you're getting the idea. The more things I close down, the less likely it is that these things are going to get in the way. Start menu, that's this little thing that opens the media players and all the other stuff on my program computer. I know I don't need that. Search indexer, definitely turn that off because that can be a problem. And I'm going to show you a couple of things that you're going to want to look in here. Oh, also I don't need my MIDI resolver. So, okay, so now we're in there. Now let's go to services. One other thing that's really important. Real networks. If you've got real player in there, then the real network scheduler's in there. And it loves to poll, it seems, every 10 minutes. Okay, so there's a bunch of things I got rid of. Oh, TeamViewer, don't want that running. It is a video process. You don't want it running. And what else? Let's see. Oh, and look, see, it started itself up again. That's because it's running as a service. So you have to go in here and find where its service is. And there it is. And you have to say stop service. Now, mind you, this stuff all starts up again. Okay, when you restart your computer. But you don't want it running when you don't want it running. And if you don't stop some of these things as services, see, if it's already stopped, then you're cool. I usually hit the status button, so all I see, so I have all my started ones, my running ones up at the top, and the stopped ones underneath. So I don't have to worry about the stopped ones, just the ones that are running. Okay, and so my Seagate service I don't need. That's a backup service. You certainly don't want your backup service kicking in. And I'm just looking through here. Looks like I got the baddies. But one thing people are often surprised is how if you're not running some kind of software that's really intensive, even for a second, it'll go ahead and start doing an indexing of your drive, and that's very bad. And there it is, Windows Search. So stop that service too. Okay, definitely stop. And stop Windows Update. You don't want that polling your drives. There you go. Those are the biggies. I hope that that's enough to keep you going. And sometimes when you're testing things out, it's good to watch this performance tab and see how many resources you're using. As you see, now that I've turned all those things off, if I hadn't turned them off, I would have been up here, having done this test, I would have been up in the 70 area. And now I'm down at a comfortable 32, okay? And it looks like, see, my stream is still nice. It's very happy. And hopefully you haven't been seeing any kind of glitches while I've been turning all this stuff off. It's possible that you saw some glitches. But I really thought it was important that you see how to turn off processes and services. Okay? Okay, so that's the big deal right there. Also, in performance, there's a much better thing called the resource monitor right down here. And that also shows a lot of things. And you can view this thing full screen and really see what's going on in your CPU, your disk, your network, and memory, and find out. It's a good way to track if something's like suddenly kicking in and taking over your machine. So when you're running tests and doing a fake live stream, then go ahead and pull this thing up. I even use the cool when I'm sharing. You'll see that there's color key in here, and I'll go ahead and turn it on and select white, and then it sees through my monitoring to the background. You're probably seeing an example of that. Yeah, let's see. Just leave it on, and see, as you can see, I can see through the white or you can make it so you can see through the black. Okay, so I often do that, see through the black, and just have this showing through where all these graphs are. And but that's another cool trick you can do. Oh, and you're wondering, okay, so how do I do that? You go ahead and click select, and then click somewhere where it's black in here, and you gotta kind of make sure you get it right. So I don't know if that worked or not. Yeah, I did. So you should be seeing the black should be kind of invisible now. Let's see. I don't know. I can't tell. Maybe not. Anyway, all right. So that's the big optimization thing. And then you start your browser last. Now, some people have browser things running. Go into your settings. You got to open some kind of a browser to open up your stream, right? And so I say go into your settings and your extensions and turn on check every single one of these things that you can. Okay, uncheck them. You don't want these things bogging down your browser, and some of those are polling the internet while you're trying to do a show. So do not have those things running. Get them out. All right, so that's the other big thing. And then start your browser after you've done all this optimization, and you should be good to go. Okay. All right, so let me close this out. And I'm going to get rid of the monitor capture. Let me turn on this capture instead. I'm going to delete this because it's kind of a resource hog. There we go. All right, so now we're in here. I'd like to show you some stuff with cameras. And right, as you've all seen, that I've got one camera hooked up. I've also got a second camera hooked up, a life cam. And there's the life cam. As you can see, my hand is reaching towards the monitor. Here's the monitor, okay? And yet I've got it so that, and here's here, I'm pointing at you. My camera's above the monitor, pointing at the table, at the desk towards me, okay? Oh yeah, and you're getting to see all my mess on the floor. So don't look at that. Don't look at my messy desk either. Stop looking at that. Okay. But one thing that's kind of cool about this is that, let me double click on this and show you what's going on. And, oh, I forgot I've got to bring up, there's the split I've got here. Okay, so now you can see that, you can see me, and you can see this. And I did this by setting up a scene with 2 cameras, okay? So, let me bring up the settings for this. I got to get them into the picture, and I'm hoping that you can see that because I'm not looking at that right now. Yeah, okay. And here is oh, that's the logic. Get out of here. I want the life cam. Now I put these in as global sources, and you always want to do that with cameras. And you'll notice that flip image vertically and flip image horizontally are set. So I'm going to go ahead and unflip them. And there you go. Now you can see everything upside down. Okay, right? Everything's upside down. And so this is seeing it from the camera's view, and everything's upside down because it's on top of the camera looking down. But you can flip it vertically, and of course that gets it so that it's correct that way, but the text is backwards. And then you do it that way horizontally, and now the text is forward. So this is great for doing open box type videos where you just want to, like, you know, say, and here's my notes that I did, and you can still read. The nice thing about this is the camera is up there above the monitor, and it's looking at what you're doing, and you can still read what you're showing people and talking about. It's not upside down, and you're not having to have the camera hovering over your shoulder and all this kind of stuff. So that's kind of camera trick number 1. Okay, the other thing I want you to know is different resolutions are possible. You can pick different resolutions, but I say pick the highest resolution that's going to give you 30 frames per second. And then if you need smaller sizes, stay with this higher resolution. This is hardware resolution, so it's not messing with your stream. It's what's coming into the stream. Stream is always going out at the 1280 by 720 in my case. And so use the highest res you can, okay? And oh, and the configure button comes up and it brings up the focus ability. Now, if you're at the full res, then there is no zoom, there is no pan, there is no tilt, because you're already at full res. If you want to fool around with letting the zoom and pan and tilt work, then you would have to set your camera at a low res. You can do it, just don't try to have two cameras involved. You can only have one global source anyway, so stick with the global sources. You would have to, like if I wanted the zooming, I'd have to set it to like 640 by 360. Then I'd be able to have the zooming and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I think I can do that on the fly. Let's see. Oh, I'm not going to take a chance. Actually, I got my camera's USB went crazy and the camera disconnected itself when I was messing with this in experiments. So I'm not going to try during a stream. But you can try it at home. You know, I'm not going to say don't try this at home. Go ahead, try it at home. And just be prepared to have to unplug your camera and plug it back in again. But under configure, here you have the video settings where you can set the brightness, white balance, saturation, all those typical things. Always, you know, you can, for a camera like this, where it's like for the box opening thing, sure, go ahead and put it to autofocus. I don't see how you could do a box open type, you know, second camera thing in any other way than having autofocus. But just realize that autofocus eats up CPU and makes things more difficult for your computer when it's already working really hard to assemble all of this into a stream. Okay. But if you can get away with a fixed focus, do a fixed focus. It takes up less resources. Always have the true color if you got the Microsoft cameras. Always have the true color turned off. Uncheck the white balance and the exposure and set those all manually. Okay, and tell the truth, they always look a little on the green side or magenta side to me, these auto settings. So, you know, and exposure is often too much. But what can I say? It's looking a little bright on the exposure end of things. It's more likely the contrast is too high for my text here. But as you see, you can adjust it on the fly even during the show. So if this card was not readable, you know, you're going, card's not readable, and you can maybe drop the contrast or lower the brightness a bit, and try to get things to work that way. Okay, and but that can all be done on the fly. In fact, just about every adjustment, just about, can be done on the fly while you're actually in a show. Okay, now let's go ahead and add another camera. I'll add it to this same scene and I'll put it over the top of this thing here. I'm going to add this I'm not going to add it. I'm going to add it as a global and source. So there is global sources, as you see, and there's my blue eyeball webcam that I've got as the third webcam, and just call it blue eyeball webcam, and there it is. I'll edit the scene and drag it over here so that you can get both. Okay, and I'll shrink it down so we can still see our window over here. Alrighty, and unedit the scene. Now, see, this is why I say go ahead with whatever resolution is going on, and just stick with that. Because you can take and edit the scene even during the show. I can go ahead and say, okay, and so this is over here, there's the cameras. You see, there's a view of my cameras. There's the Microsoft camera, and there's right behind it, there's the other camera, the Logitech C920. And so there's my monitors, and I'm not using this monitor today because I've got everything on this main screen for this show. And over here is the monitor for my other computer that I use for doing captures. Okay, so position size, we'll reset size. There we go. And you make sure it's smaller. Okay, so there you have it. Okay, so as you can see, this is pretty darn flexible. And I can turn off cameras on the fly. I can turn off the window. I can turn on and off this one. Okay, so you've got all this flexibility. If I wanted to take this scene use it as the basis for another scene, I simply right click on that and say copy. and I'll call this with blue eyeball. Oh, well, I call it 3 cams and window. There we go. Okay, so now I have one called 3 cams and window, and that's a clone of this one, which is started with the K. By the way, I add shortcut keys to all of mine. Here, I'll go ahead and do the W. And what I do is I rename them using rename, and I put in what my key is going to be, and I always use Control Shift and whatever the key is. Now, if you have a browser window open, I can tell you sometimes it screws up, where it does something inside of your thing, your computer, like open up the bookmarks or something. I don't know. It happened to me in Chrome the other day, because I usually have Chrome shrunk out of the way, but I was using the browser for something, and while doing the stream, and lo and behold, I had browser windows and catalogs and I don't know, stuff opening up. But anyway, I use Control Shift and the letter, and I found that it's not been interfering with any other programs. But of course, if a program's already using that letter combination, that key combination, then you're going to have to find another one, Control Shift Alt or something else, or Control Alt in the key. And let's use all of those, and I'll show you how. We'll add a letter to this. We'll make this be T. So you go down here to Set Hotkey, and you see right now it's none. So Control Shift T. There you go. That's probably a browser thing if ever there was. And then you just hit OK. And so now you're talking about that. So let's go ahead and I'll get rid of the main window capture so you can see that I'm switching. Now do the K it was, right? And then back to T. So this is Control Shift K, Control Shift T. And that's really nice because you can switch and you've got your menu right up there. So let me go ahead and rename this. Practice what I preach. T hyphen. And now I've got my menu included in there. Okay. Now it's important. I think I've shown you enough here for how all of this stuff works, and the camera tricks. For today, the fact that you can, let's just do a quick review. You can add cameras, you can invert and horizontal, and you can flip horizontal and vertical, so that you can make a camera reaching over your monitor still look at things where it's readable and you can read it too. Let's see, we can change the size of any one of these on the fly. Oh, by the way, get to know your little keyboard shortcuts. You can highlight an item and do like Control F to make it fill the screen as much as possible, and holding Control key down and Control Alt lets you use the arrow keys to move it around. Control C makes it centered. Let's go ahead and make this smaller, and we'll have Control Alt to the right, Control Alt down, that's right arrow, Control left arrow, Control Alt again, Control Alt and the arrow keys does this action. Control C puts it in the middle. Okay, so, and Control F makes it be as big as it can fit to fit the screen. Okay, and that's live while doing the show. And I'm in Edit Scene doing this right now, but I didn't have to be. Control Alt still works even when I'm not in Edit Scene. So you don't have to be showing the little red thing, and Control C still centers it. If you want to see those, go to Position Size, and here's the list of them. And reset size. That gets to the original. That's at 640 by 480. And you got your order, move up, move down, changes which is going to be behind what. Okay, order changes what's going to be in front of and what's going to be behind in the sequence of your scene. And position size, all of these. So you got the Control Alts with left, up, right, and down arrows, Control C, and Control Alt C and Control Shift C for center vertical. The way I remember this is Control Alt is a horizontal relationship of the Control key and the Alt key, and Control and Shift are a vertical relationship. One is above the other. So that's how I remember which one is which. So what I would do is say move to bottom, and then Control Shift C moves it top. Whoops. Oh, I was in the scene. 1 second. There we go. Bring that back. Oh, I did the wrong. Oh, I've got. Sorry. Looks like I can't use C. Look at that. I had Gateway Stream hooked up to C. I better unhook that so I can use my keyboard shortcuts, for vertical alignment. Anyway. All right. So live and learn. All right. So anyway, so that's that, and that is top center, as you can see, and it's down. So okay. So I obviously. Beware what shortcut keys you use, that you don't use one that they've already built into the system. All right, now there's one last thing I want you to know, and that is how to copy things in your library. So you're going to have to go to Organize over here. Oh, make sure I'm on. Yeah, you can see this. Go to Organize, Folder and Search Options, View, and Show Hidden Files and Folders and Drives. Okay, click OK. And now go to your libraries, click the little down arrow so that you see your name, and look for this folder over here called App Data right here. It's a hidden folder. And go into the roaming and scroll on down to where you see OBS. Okay, and there you see this file called scenes.xconfig. Right click on that and say copy, and then I keep a little folder I made called Scenes, and go into there and then right click and say paste, and it'll paste it. Copy but save both files, keep both files here at the bottom so that it renames the copy, and then give this a name like scene demo, cam demo. Can't type tonight. Now mind you, you're going to have to change the name back to be scenes.xconfig when you want to use this, but now you have a backup of the thing, and you can keep various scenes in a little library of different types of scene setups. So as you have your setups in here, and you can, oh gosh, you probably didn't see any of that. I just realized. Get these things out of the way. All right, so okay, so here we're in my roaming. So again, go to Organize, Folder and Search Options, View, Show Hidden Files and Folders and Drives. Okay, I should have double checked which one I had. App Data. Okay, see, I'm good, good. Okay, I'm good. App Data, Roaming. Scroll down to OBS, and here you have scenes.xconfig. Right click, say copy. Go into the folder that you make called Scenes, and go in, right click, say paste, and say copy but keep both files, and it'll put that in there with a name and just change its name. Okay, all right, so I don't need that. All right, so and now remember though, you have to keep it when you bring it back and you want to use one of these scene setups. You have to rename it, paste it in here, and rename it scenes.xconfig, scenes.xconfig, and then you're golden. Okay, and that'll save this scene setup. Okay, this whole thing, all of these with the hotkey assignments and which things are in which one of each one of these. Okay, so all right, so anyway, there you have it. There's my little show for tonight on Terry's Tech Show. I went a little ways over half an hour because I wanted to make sure you saw how to back up your scenes. That can really be a bummer to have done all this work and have something happen where you've lost the scene, or do some work and fiddling around and some experiments and not have a backup of your former setup. So before you go too crazy in doing new setups, or deleting old setups, go ahead and make a backup the way I just showed you, and then go in and delete scenes and start over again with a fresh thing. Okay. And anyway, so I hope you got a lot out of this, that you'll be able to optimize your computer for streaming, and this will make for much smoother captures where you don't have that jerking and freezing, and the audio dropouts will lessen massively if you do that optimizing. And then I hope all those cool webcam tricks, although there weren't many, were useful. If you got any more questions about camera setups or anything like that, go ahead and post something to this, and I'll answer your questions. Okay. All right. Well, let me bring up the there we go. Bring up this thing so I can close this event out, and have a good night now, everybody.